Welcome to Complete Edition. This is a special episode with the recurring guest, Sean Mason. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Been watching baseball, been playing games, and living life. It's been good. But this is an
Yeah,
episode
definitely.
for the Horizon Forbidden West Spoilercast. I'm so excited for this. It's been a long time coming, and I took my time with this game, so it did take a while for us to collaborate and get this done. But are you excited?
Oh, I'm so pumped for this game. I've been waiting to do this for a while. I absolutely love this game. This game took it just blew my mind.
Yeah, so we'll start off with like spoiler-free discussion, and then whenever spoilers come up, we'll straight up say, and then we'll just have spoilers from that moment on. But like, give me your top thoughts on this game and like what you thought about it and your experience.
So, spoiler free. I think that this game took everything from the first game and improved on it, and also added some stuff. Just the way it plays, it feels so smooth. The gameplay is smooth. I found the story very compelling. The new characters and the old characters that come back, very compelling. Very compelling. Very much I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it. It's just a wonderful game, to be honest. The story's fantastic, and it goes places that you would never expect. Like if I had got it spoiled for me prior, I would not have believed it. I would have been like, "There's no way, you're lying."
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, I think that this game was just so much better than the first one, and it's like I love the first one, but it doesn't like creep into my top 10 games or anything like that. But this one absolutely did. Just everything it does with open world and the way that it takes the characters and the direction of the story. It's like nothing was missing a beat when I was playing it, and I just absolutely loved it. And they not only did they have like reoccurring machines and then also like characters from the previous game, but then they added so much more, so many more characters and so many more locations. And I just was constantly like, this game made me like from here forward, like take a different approach with games. I love to completion or complete games and like hunt them, but I took my time. Like I'm not in a hurry. I was not going to fast travel around everywhere, and I just wanted to see it and like absorb this world and be in it as long as possible. And now with other games that I'm playing, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, I gotta like get involved in this world because it's so beautiful and so amazing. Like the craftsman work and stuff that went into these games, and I'm just I'm right with you. I love this game so thoroughly, and it's weird because I was checking it before we started this thing, and I'm still 77.65 on my completion percentage on the whole game. Like I platinumed it, but
Mm,
in game they
yeah.
didn't make me do everything in order to platinum it. So I was like, "Oh, that's such a bummer." But it's also awesome because the way that I think about it internally is like I can take a break from this game, and then when DLC starts come out or is announced or whatever happens with DLC, it's like I could just go back and actually complete the rest of the game. Like I can do more stuff, and I'll just jump right back into it. It'll be super awesome and like perfect anticipation for the game's extension or DLC or whatever happens with it, you know?
Oh yeah, I can. This world is huge. It's humongous. They don't require you to do everything to get the platinum, but like you said, you're only at 77%. I think I'm at 75%. I have the platinum, and it's crazy to think that this world is so expansive and there's so much to do. I feel like every time I put the game in, I find something new, something I didn't know existed before. It's an overall awesome experience.
Absolutely. This is exactly what I want from open world, like big budget open world games. I'm not saying it's like the best of the best because I think that God of War is the best of the best to me, but I that's just because my style of game is like semi open world. Those are like my favorite, and linear games are definitely more my style. But in this genre of open world games, I think that like this is technically the best one I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. It's stunning to look at. I even just like dabbling into the photo mode is out is unreal. Just like the way it looks, some of the images you see, some of the sunsets being on the top of a mountain, just looking out and looking at the landscape out there and just seeing the sun setting. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Riding a mountain, like looking out and seeing dust storms and dust tornadoes and sunsets and rain and snow and just seeing it all. I just was like constantly awed by the environment. And I've I've heard people say that it's like a supernatural type of like a world. And I think that like that supernatural element is just because humans aren't messing with the environment anymore. I think that it's incredibly like beautiful because nothing like the environment has taken over. Like it's such a wonder in this world. And actually, it's not spoilers, but like some of the side content with like the ruins and like exploring and puzzles, I love that aspect of this game. Like it's very it gave me a reason to stop and be like, what was here? What was going on? Reading these emails, finding the codes, and like seeing what's going on. And I was constantly deep in this game. And I think that's just really, really good design.
Yeah, if you don't listen to all the audio logs and read all the individual, I'm not saying you have to read every individual document, but if you don't listen to the audio logs and read some of the documents, you're really missing out here because it dives deeper and deeper into the game. It gives you more context about why things are the way they are in the specific location you're in. Hey, why is this building torn down? Hey, what's the backstory of this building? That's all revealed through this, the optional side stuff. And the I really think you're doing a disservice if you don't do that. If you don't do any of those things.
Completely agree. I completely agree. There's so many things where I'm like, oh man, this is extremely sad. Like what's happening? It's something that I maybe if I can remember to bring it up later. There's a part in the story. I'm pretty sure it's main story. Might have been side stuff. I don't know. But it like when you read the audio logs and like find out what's happening in this bunker, you're like, wow, this is twisted and sad. And it was really, really, really interesting stuff. And I'm like, you can go through it and kind of infer all of this stuff, but if you're not reading those audio logs, you're not getting the whole story of what happened here. Yeah, like even listening to the audio logs, it's like very it's traumatic and awesome. It's really good stuff. But I want to since we're kind of getting closer to spoiler territory, I say we just go right on in with spoilers and start talking about, our favorite machines and stuff like that. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to start with our favorite machines?
Absolutely, I do. Oh my gosh, I have so many. Okay, so from the first game, my favorite machine was the stalkers because they like hang up on the trees and there's like lasers everywhere and you know that they set traps and you're like they're there, but sometimes you can't see them. And then
Hmm.
during fights, they'll camouflage themselves and they'll jump around and then it's like, where is it? Where is it? It's gone. Like it literally turned invisible and I can't find it. And it just made combat encounters really intense with them, and they're in this game still, so they are still my favorite. But there's so many more machines that were added to this game that every time I saw them, I was like, wow, I can't believe these cool machines that they added, like the Clamberjaw, which is like a monkey-like machine.
Mm.
Those things were hard, very, very difficult for me to fight, just because they jump all over the place, and it's really hard with arrows and stuff. It's like you got to use different for different machines. You got to use different weapons, and like the slither thing was really really cool. I thought like right off the bat they were showing that one off with the story. You encounter a slither like three slither things, and then Aloy like knocks the thing down and gets them. And then later on in the story you see specters, and they're another one of my favorite machines. And just because of how they transform and they like the way they move is just mesmerizing. They move so fast, and like it kind of reminds me of like a water creature, like an octopus or something, where it just constantly has like these tentacles that'll just like go up the walls and stuff. And it's like, whoa, I'm just constantly mesmerized by them.
I like the design of the Spectre, how it looks futuristic because it's not from this world. It was created in another world that, even though it's in the Earth is, thousands of years past where we are now, it's in a primitive state. Whereas where the Far Zeniths come from, it's in a futuristic world, and you can definitely tell from the design. It's not like blocky, or it's more of a triangular shape. It looks very futuristic. It's really cool. You had mentioned the Stalker. The Stalker was definitely my favorite from the first game. I love the Apex Stalker in this game. How I love the camo, the way it attacks you. I don't know what difficulty did you play on?
I played on normal.
Okay, so I played on hard mode.
I
Trying to take on these stalkers in hard mode is ridiculous.
Yes, I agree. And I started in hard mode and then I ended up tweaking my settings. So I went in and I was like, Aloy dies too fast, so I want to keep the machine health up, but Aloy's health at normal because I was just dying way too fast. And so the setting modifiers were so good in this game that I constantly felt like, oh, it's too easy. I can just turn it back to where Aloy is taking more damage and these machines will take more damage, or I can turn it like, say I just want to go do a contract and get parts. It's like you could just turn the enemy's health down and it's like run through it. And so I was just like constantly in those sliders, but I started normal, went to hard because it was too easy, and then like partway, it was probably around level 25. I lowered it to normal again because I was like, this is too much. Like I'm getting annihilated, and I
Yeah,
just want to keep going further west. But the further west I went, the harder and harder that it got.
yeah. My favorite new machine is the Tide Ripper. Do you remember what that is? It's the giant underwater. It's the one that's like a lot of it's underwater. Actually, it's the first machine we saw in the state of play announcement. When they first showed Ayla swimming.
Wait, is this like the Loch Ness monster one?
Yeah, the giant like dinosaur like Loch Ness monster creature has a really long neck.
Yes.
Has like
Yes.
yes, absolutely love that. Anytime you see that when you're underwater and you because you can't do anything when you're underwater combat wise, it's just terrifying when it spots you and oh my gosh. And like I said, playing on hard mode, like you have to be really careful or the second it sees you, you're done. You have to be really really careful. I absolutely love these things. And just like pulling parts off of this machine. There's so many detachable parts on this machine. Um, like on its back, it has these two like rectangular objects like sticking out of it that you can shoot off of. It has all the parts of the tail you can shoot off of. It has stuff on its like long neck you can shoot off of, and it's just so like satisfying shooting off these pieces. And that's what I absolutely loved. I just thought the design was really cool. I thought swimming in the water with it was pretty cool. You get that up close look and that feeling of helplessness like that I had mentioned before that you get when you're near it underwater is just so cool. It's something that I really haven't seen before in a game. So overall, that was my favorite new machine.
That's a great machine. I actually almost mentioned that one because I just thought it was I love the design of it and how it like moves around and in the water it's so majestic and it's definitely one of the coolest machines that they added.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a Lapras from Pokemon.
It does. I totally see that.
Yeah,
But there
except much more scary.
you when you mentioned that machine, it reminded me of the tall neck underwater at one point, and
Oh yes, yeah.
I thought that was so cool. Like, some of these tall neck situations were like they literally change the environment by like you'll pull one out of a cauldron or like one will walk out of the water. It was just insane. It was so cool, and like that one specifically the one I was talking about, like just continues to wander around in the water. And I'm just like, this is it's so I just I don't know how creative they had to have been because I never would have thought to do that, because like in game design, you just like, oh, you need these map fillers, these towers as people call them, and it's like, yeah, but the towers could be so much more. They could be characters themselves, and it's like that's what these were for me. It's like they were so cool, and there was like one of them had a camp around the feet, and it was like you had to investigate, and you're like, what happened here, and
And you had to use the like cannons to like trap the machine to pull down the machine,
yeah,
weigh it down so you can climb it. Yeah, I thought what they did with the tall necks in this game was so improved compared to the first game. The first game you would just find a tall neck and all you'd really have to do is figure out how to climb it.
yep,
In this game, they changed so much of how to approach the tall neck, how to get on it. It was almost like a puzzle in itself figuring that out. Some of them you can't climb regularly. Of course, the final one you need the is it the glint hawk? Is that what
yeah,
you're? Yeah,
that's
the
right.
glint hawk. Yeah, you need the glint hawk to fly up to it, and right away that's like one of the first tall necks you encounter. I think it's like the second tall neck you encounter if you're just like on the main story, and it's like it's like, "Oh, I'll come back for this later. I gotta figure out how to get up there." And then you come back to it at the end, and it's like, "Okay."
Yeah,
It's so satisfying.
my friend kept his mouth shut because I was talking to him in a party as I was playing, and I was like, "Dude, I found this tall neck, and I can't figure out how to get on top of it." And I'm like, "I think that I have to get a tool to come back later to get on top of it." And I didn't know that like later on, and it wasn't the Glint Hawk, it was the Sunwing. The Sunwing is the flying,
Sunwing, yeah,
yeah.
Sunwing. Yeah,
And
Sunwing, my bad.
I thought it was a tool to like get on top of the thing, and I'm like, "Dude, I can't wait to see what this tool is. I wonder if it's like a cool grappling hook like gun thing." And he was just like he didn't say anything. He just kind of sat there quietly. And then later, like when the flying moment happened, I was like, "Oh shit, everything I wanted from this game is now in it." Like that was like peak climax, which actually that's one of my criticisms with this game is the pacing of the tools is a little bit too slow for me. Like that's pretty much my only criticism. It's like early in the game I'm seeing like these where did I write it down? It's the fire gleam exploder, like you stick your spear in it and it explodes, the underwater breather. It's like this stuff that I didn't start getting until it was like later in the game. And I wish that they would have been able to pace it so that you got that stuff earlier because I would be like exploring the map and then it'd be like, oh, you can't do this. And then I was like, okay, so I'll just go to the second part of the map. And then I'd get another tool like late in that part, and then I'd be going to the third part of the map, just like continuing west. And then it would be like, oh, but you can't do that because you don't have this part. And it's like it just kept doing that. And no matter how much I circled back, it was like it's too much, like too slow with getting that stuff. And I just wish it was a little faster, but I don't know how to fix that. I actually don't I don't know how to fix that kind of issue because they really integrated all of those pieces into storytelling, into the side stuff. And I thought it was beautifully done, but it just like I just got irritated with that a couple times where I'm like, dang, I don't have that tool.
With the amount of swimming they showed, like in the pre-release, I thought that you would get the underwater breathing tool a lot quicker in the game. I thought it would be you'd get it like almost not right away, but like almost right away. I was shocked you don't get it till probably a little bit past the halfway point of the game, which is
Yeah.
wild.
It was very it felt more late game, and that's what I was so confused about. It was like all this stuff that I wanted to do. I wanted to explore these caves like right off the beginning. I'm like I'm going to like go to these caves, and then I would dive into this cave and I would be swimming, and then it would be like, "Oh, you can't do this yet." And I'm like, "Aha, but I'm in the first area." I'm like, "I just let me explore some stuff." But then I was like, "Okay, I get it." But then it got to the second area and it's like, "Oh, there's more stuff that you can't do." Not just that one thing that you can't do, but it's like many other things that you're gonna have to come back later. And I was like, so they want me to just complete the game and then loop back around. But I just was trying to figure out how to pace that better. And again, I don't know how to fix that. Let's keep going about side content. Or actually let's talk about the main story because this is something that we should go right into because it has so much to do with everything else in the game. And I actually enjoyed a lot, like, the death of Hades very early in the game and, like, what Silence was doing with it, 'cause I would have been very upset if this game was just like, "Oh, no, Hades was captured by Silence, and he releases it again, and then the machines take over again." It's like, oh, plot of the first game again, but it wasn't that. Very misleading. You find Hades, he dies, and then you have to start building Gaia, and then you start learning so much more, and the Zeniths show up, and all kinds of crazy things happen. And I was constantly like, what is going to happen next? And I wanted to go see, and then I wanted to build on Gaia and learn more about her. And so that the main story kept me coming back over and over, and I just wanted to know what you kind of thought.
Yeah, I really liked there was like basically two main arcs to the story. There's the whole building Gaia and challenging the Zeniths to make sure that they don't capture Gaia, and then there's the whole Regala story, which is like they seem totally separate, and then in the end, obviously they converge together with Silent's ultimate plan to have Regala be the army to sacrifice basically to take down the Zeniths. Um, but yeah, I found it so fascinating just learning about the Zeniths, learning how they don't age, and they're the same people who left Earth earlier, and they worked basically with Elizabeth like back then. It was really interesting to see, and that's why I had said earlier that if someone had told me this, I would be like, "No way." Like, I didn't expect, space travel to come back into the game where I would, maybe expect to read about it in documents, but not actually have these zeniths, show up. When I first saw them, when they first show up, when you first encountered Beta, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, What? Like, this is insane."
I totally agree, and I actually it's so curious for me for people playing this game and, like, hitting that part because it's gonna go one of 2 ways. You're gonna be like, "Oh, are you kidding me? Why did they do this?" Or you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe that they went in this direction." And it's, like, those 2 reactions, and I haven't heard anyone who's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." It's like, you love this or you hate this because of what Horizon was. And it's people, people will get upset and be like, Horizon was, the ancient people and the older Earth, and like that was what it was. And now it's like so much more, which I appreciate that it's so much more. And I've heard people in Discords like talking about this, and it's getting me more and more excited for the IP of Horizon because they can tell stories without robots now in Horizon. Like they can actually do like TV shows. Like Sony Pictures can make a movie about this stuff because it doesn't have to be with Aloy. It doesn't have to be in that world. It can be so much more. And I think that this is like super exciting for Sony specifically, and like for this IP to be explored. Like they could even tell the story of how Earth ends. They don't have to show robots. They don't have to do that kind of CGI stuff. It's so exciting.
I was thinking, you know how we had, for The Last of Us, you had the Left Behind DLC, almost no combat.
Yeah.
Imagine they do this. They do some DLC. They do a DLC where you play as Elizabeth right at the end when the Zeniths are taking off.
Oh, that would give me
The
goosebumps.
like, and like there's like no combat. It's just you're playing as Elizabeth with all the other Zeniths there before they're, I guess known as Zeniths, and I think that'd be awesome.
It
That's
would
a I don't know. I just randomly thought of that.
it would be really awesome. I don't know how long it would be because in the first game, the door gets opened and like the vacuum kills all of the council that's in there, and like Elizabeth has already left and she like goes to press some button or something. I don't remember it exactly, but then she dies, and like it's awesome in the first game to find her body with all the flowers
Yeah, I meant like you play
up to that point.
up to that point. Yeah, you play like
Yeah.
the waning days before that.
Oh my gosh, that would be so
'Cause at
intense.
the end yeah, because at the end, how Tilda was trying to, encourage her to join her, and she was up until the right before they left, she was trying
Right.
to make her come with them. I think that would be so cool to just see that dynamic, that relationship between Tilda and Elizabeth. I would like to see because I found Tilda to be an interesting character. I did not see that coming at the end either. I felt like she had ulterior motives, but I did not think that in the end that she was gonna be like, "Yeah, actually, this nemesis thing is coming to destroy everything in its path. So we got to get out of here." That was a total plot twist for me.
That for me too. Like I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was thinking, Zeniths are crazy. I can't believe this. And then that that anomaly coming to Earth, I was like, this game just took a huge sharp turn. And it makes me really excited for the sequel. Like very, very excited. I wonder what they're gonna do. Like when that thing gets to Earth, what are they gonna do? Like will they have an army? I don't know. I have so many questions. Like, I hope the writers have already have something in mind and they don't have to write off this because this is going to be very, very hard to write off of. But gosh, this is very exciting for the future of this franchise. And I would actually kind of it'd be crazy to do, but I would love to see them like make a linear game, like ditch the open world stuff, and then just tell the rest of the story with kind of like an intermittent game, kind of like Spider-Man Miles Morales, where it doesn't take as long of a cycle,
Yeah.
but it explains the events that are about to occur because I like just because of how the game was set up, it's like they don't have that long. Like that anomaly is coming to Earth and it's coming quick.
Yeah, they don't explicitly state how long they have until Nemesis comes. It's kind of just
You're right,
yeah.
and then not only that, but then it does, like, this thing where it shows all the characters
Yeah, I'm
working after like, as the credits are starting to roll, it shows Silence, and he's working on a new project, and it shows, like, all the characters, and they're, like, getting busy because they have they're in time crunch now because there's an anomaly. Oh, actually, I don't think all the other characters know, I think it's just Silence. So, Aloy hasn't told any of the other characters yet. Isn't that what happens?
Yeah, it shows yeah, it shows the other companions. Silence is the only one working, but it shows Aaron is with oh my god, why can't I he's at
Zoe?
no, he's not with Zoe. Zoe's with her people.
Azura, or what's her name?
Zoe.
Az
Zoe's no, is with I'm trying to think who the people are. It's you yeah,
Is it
Aaron
the
is
girl? Is it the girl, the
with
smart
the
girl with the
people. No, I know who all the characters' names. I'm trying to think who Aaron is with though.
like the Tanakh or something like that?
No, Aaron is with the people who you save. You know the place where they display like all the lights and stuff.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, like in Vegas?
Yeah, yes, Aaron is with them at the end of the game. Zoe
Okay.
is with her original people. Um, Alva is with her people, but she didn't leave San Francisco. She's still in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's right.
So it doesn't really explicitly state how long they have. I'm really curious to see how they go about that because it seems like it'd be a pressing matter to try to figure out how to combat Nemesis.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I understand like it's an open world game, so you have all this side stuff. It's like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from trying to fight off the end of the world to go help this person. So it would be interesting to see if they maybe did like a side game, like you were saying, like a linear game to figure out how we're gonna build up this army, which would be
Yes.
kind of cool. But from my understanding, I feel like I don't know, just something about it. I feel like they have like some time, maybe a few months, maybe.
I hope so. Because it was 4 months. It was 4 months until the end of the world in this game. Do you remember that? When you were talking
Yeah,
to Gaia? So it's like I don't know how much time they have, and I'm sure Gaia will be able to analyze Nemesis and do some stuff because she's still around. But very very exciting for the future of this franchise. Let's talk about, since we did start talking about some of the characters. Let's talk about our favorite characters, if that's cool.
yeah. I really like Alva. I thought she was awesome,
Yeah, she's one.
particularly her side. Yeah, particularly her side quest. What you learn about is just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. She's a really, really good one. I love the return of Aaron. He was one of my favorites in the first game, so it was very lovely to see him again. And then my one of my favorite characters in this game is Hikaru, the Tanakh chief.
Yeah, I really liked him too. Yeah.
Yeah, he was so cool. And then Katalo, which is the one-armed guy, and I loved his
Yep.
story and his development. Like I constantly wanted to hang out with that guy. So I like when I would return to base, I would always go and talk to him because he seems kind of like a loner, but he's so strong and like headstrong. I was like, this guy is the guy that I want to hang out with the most. And he builds that robot arm, and then he's like, I'm not going to use it all the time. It's so interesting. His whole character was super interesting. But who are some of your favorite characters?
Yeah, like I said, I really like Alva, particularly because of her. I wasn't really fond of her at first, but then when you go on the side quest with her, it's called the Forbidden Legacy, and you just learn about how you're originally going out to try to, you know, fix a water flood system back in her homeland for the Quen. Those are her people, but then you just end up learning so much more about like what was happening in the old world, about how they basically covered up a like the old ones covered up a whole like thing about how they kind of flooded their own people and kind of killed their own people and they were poisoning their own people. But then you ended up it's just like that to me was so compelling because she for so long growing up she like was forbidden from knowing all about a lot of the stuff about the old ones. They were kind of controlled about what they could know just so they could paint like a picture in their head about what life's like and who should be in charge. And I think her coming to that realization, she's like obsessed with all the data and learning more and more. And I think that maybe because I'm a teacher, I like to learn. I like to learn new things. I think that's why I like kind of stuck to her.
It makes sense. I mean, she is absolutely one of my favorites. She's also really interesting in the way that how she interacts with the other characters. Like whenever Zoe, why can't I remember his name? She loses
Oh, Varl?
Varl. She
Yeah.
loses him, and then she's like, I don't know them well enough to try to console them and like be their friend, so I'm just giving them space. And I'm like, that's probably the best thing to do in this situation. And it like just the way she kept distance, but she was like so happy and like still learning. It was constantly like, I love this character, and what she does is like she has a love, and she's not like nothing's gonna stop her from continuing to do this. It was really fun to watch her, and like you said, her her story and like that leader there and the changing of leaders and it was
Oh,
really
CEO,
yeah,
CO.
CO, yeah. That
Yeah.
was really clever of them to do CO.
The second, yeah, I know. The second I saw him, I thought, like, this guy, there's something up with this guy. Like, you definitely know there's something up with
Yeah,
him.
he's ruling in a not a great way. You're like, this is sketchy. Like he wants to seem like he's perfect and it's sketchy.
He
And
he,
then he gets
he
some of
actually
the
reminded me of Ted Faro, who he thought he basically was.
right. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Did you have any side quests that you loved?
Well, that was a side quest that I really did like. I like it, like you had mentioned. I like the Katalo one, going to get the to make his arm. I thought
Yes.
that one was pretty cool. Particularly side quest that I really like. Like, not really. It's not like a side. Like, I like how they have different columns from, like, they have side quests, but then they have like the tasks and the errands and all of that. I really like going on salvage contracts. I found those to be like awesome because, like I
Yeah.
said, I love just like clipping machines and taking parts off of machines, and that's like all about the salvage contracts, which I really like.
Yeah, that was really
Um,
fun.
just going about like min maxing all your equipment, upgrading your outfits, your bows. That to me is so much fun because again, you can't just kill the machine. You have the certain parts that you need. You can only get if you clip it off of it while it's still alive. So to me, like that was like the bread and butter. I really like the combat, so that was like outstanding for me. What was
It
you have a side quest that you really liked?
I had 3 that I really liked, and I totally
Okay.
agree with you with like the Monster Hunter-esque style of this game where you have to knock these parts off in order to go salvage them, and I found it so fun because you're trying not to kill the monster, you're just trying to get those parts, and it's like, oh, I killed it before I could get that part. Oh, it's like
Or you clip off the part you need, you go and get it, and the machine kills you, and you have to do it again. Yeah.
that's right. But there was right at the beginning of the game, there was this kid in jail, and he was accused of murder, but
Oh, okay, yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
he
Yeah.
was claiming self defense, and then you go and investigate, and you find out like this Eclipse like tribe is still out there, and they're still plotting, and they're doing bad things, and it's like you take out some of them. And then you go back and you get that kid, free, and I'm like, that was a really cool one.
Yeah, I mean that like sets up the whole basically one of the big side quests for one of the big errand side quests.
Yes. And then there was this other side quest where it was a character from the first game actually. Talana.
Yep,
She's
Talana, yep.
she's a huntress and she's looking for her like lover, and you're kind of inferring it. You're like, does she love this guy? And then Aloy's very direct with her at points. It's just like, there's something more that you like this guy or you like this person, and she's like, yeah. But then it doesn't turn into like this traditional storyline. It turns into like she finds him, and then he has not given up on the other woman, so he's like chasing another, like his lover. So she's chasing her lover, and then he's chasing his, and then the way that it ends is like she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the second choice, and to like turns that guy down, and it's like it's like, whoa, this went in so many different directions that I did not think it was gonna go, and I really really loved that storyline for that reason. And then there was another, and this was the third and last one for me that really was good, which was the water hole incident. I don't know if you got to this, but
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like two people that are yelling at each other, and they're like in Yara is in contention of power, and like this other guy Draka is like challenging her power and is saying like what's best for the people, and like they're going back and forth, and she seems really distant, and like you have to choose one of them, but the other one that you don't choose, like they kill him. And I was like, wow, like this was
Yeah,
really heavy.
it's called the Tribe Apart.
Yeah, it is a tribe apart.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's at Stone's Echo,
Yeah,
which I found that whole environment, Stone's Echo, was so cool. It's like built up, and it's like anytime I was there, it seemed to be nighttime too, which was awesome. I found that whole like dynamic between the Tanakh tribe like so interesting. How they have like one leader, but then they have like subsections out there of like separate tribes, the Utaro. It's so cool.
It is really cool, and jumping off that point that you're bringing up now. Do you have some places in this game that were some of your favorite? Like, for example, you just told that you love that place, and it's like I love Plainsong. Number one, the
Okay,
sound of the
playing song. All
choir,
right.
like just like constantly ringing in my ears. I was like, this place is awesome, and like the way that it goes up into the trees and like the giant like I just stand there and like look down over the lights of that place, and it was so pretty. And that's like the place where they have like the plowing machines, and like I just was that's where Zoe's from, and I love that
Yeah,
place so much. It's not that I like the tribe; it's just how it looked. It's visually like one of the most stunning places in the game for me, and I was constantly at all. And there's even a side quest in there where there's like one of the old choir ladies like kills somebody else and then she poisons herself to like get out of it. Did you do that side quest?
yeah, I did.
Oh my
It's
god, it was so intense. I was like, "Holy crap, I can't believe this." It constantly the game was constantly like shifting and playing with my side quest expectations, and I thought that it was really good. And I really love Plainsong. But what about you?
yeah, like I said, Plain Song gave me Final Fantasy X vibes. I don't know if you ever played Final Fantasy X.
I did not.
Alright, I won't spoil the location then, because if you ever do play it, it's like a pretty cool location. It reminds me of that, just the whole atmosphere of like them being really connected to nature. It reminded me so much of that. Like I said, I really like Stone Echo. What do you think of Scalding Sphere?
I liked Scalding Spear.
Arrowhand was pretty cool. Yeah,
What
I
is
found
Scalding Spear the one with the like oh, it's the one with the satellites, isn't it?
yeah,
Oh, I freaking love that one.
yeah.
It's so dry, but it's like I every time I go to it and you see all of the like the solar panels like around it, it's just such a sight to behold. It's so
It
cool.
yeah, and it's pretty far west in the on the map too, and it definitely screams like if you look at like architecture of the United States right now, it definitely screams like West Coast. Is
Yes.
that West Coast vibe? They all have solar panels, the one tower in the city. I just found like the difference between settlements is like so vast and so cool. I really enjoyed that.
I like some of the like whenever you do get to the coast, there's a I don't know what the town is called. It's right on the water and the water is so pretty over there.
Yeah, Legacy's Landfall.
Legacy's Landfall. That was
Yeah.
another one that like I spent a lot of time over on the ocean because I was searching for like crabs and lobsters for upgrades, and I just
Mhm.
was not getting tired of it. It's so pretty over there, and there's always like so many machines on like on the coast, and then not only that, but in the water. So it constantly felt dangerous. I really liked that.
One place I did not like, which I think from talking to people, a lot of people do like it, is the bulwark with the giant wall.
I liked knocking the wall down. That's about that. That's
I
about it.
liked knocking it down because I did not like the people who were in there.
I agree
They were
with
not
that.
nice people. They were not nice people.
I'm
They were
looking at Plainsong
cowards.
right now, and I love the look of like the gardens from above on the map, and like the water that surrounds Plainsong. It's just such a pretty location.
I
Uh,
mean, even at the beginning of the game, Barren Light, it's
yeah,
like so. I don't even know how to explain it. It reminds me of like
okay,
Barren Light, even Barren Light. It reminded me of ancient like Aztecs, like just the way the buildings were built, very like Pueblo Indian style.
yeah. I didn't like the people of Barren Light. I think because I don't know why, but I didn't like the like all everyone was a drunk. They're like, let's
I mean
drink.
the classic Karja.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm okay. I like how Ayla was like, I'm good. I was like, okay, that's fun. But it was just, and I like Aaron, even though he drinks all the time, and he always loves to sit down and have a drink with whoever and have a conversation. I love that about him. It's like one of my favorite things about him. And
One thing I really liked about him is when he's reading the some of the old files, he learns about sports, and he's like, "Oh, people used to fight for fun. This is awesome."
yeah, I really love that too. And he also discovers metal music. Like that's
Yep, he discovers metal music. Yeah,
he's just over there like headbanging, having such a good time. I like Aaron is doing such like he's doing the same thing as the girl did who was always learning and
Alva. Yeah.
Alva. And but he was doing it differently. He was always searching for, like, things.
Entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment instead of knowledge. It cracked me up. Very good dichotomy they had.
Yeah, and I love like Zoe and Varl's reaction to any time like Aaron like learns something like outrageous, like when he learns about heavy metal. Like they always have if you go and talk to them after, they'll always have a comment about it. Like
Yeah.
and they always did and I like how Katalu, like Aaron's like, yeah, I'd like to drink with him, but he kind of just he can hold his liquor, but he kind of it's kind of boring to drink with.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. I think that the characters have a really good chemistry with each other. It's not like they all have to get along, but it's like they all exist and they're all doing their own thing, and then they happen to have moments with each other, and then you get to hear about those moments, like, when you come back from your journey, and I think that that is, like, brilliant writing. Such brilliant writing.
Yeah. I wonder about because Zoe's pregnant with Varl's kid.
Mhm.
Like I wonder if they're gonna name it Varl, like Varl Jr. or something.
I wonder. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
and I wonder if it's gonna be how they're gonna raise it. It's gonna have a focus. Like, is it gonna have a focus itself, like the kid? Are they gonna give the kid the focus? I don't
Ah,
know.
like Aloy? Aloy had a
Yeah,
focus
like
from
Aloy's a
early.
kid. Yeah,
That's
could be
interesting.
interesting. All right, if you could get a spin-off game for any of the companions, kind of like a Infamous First Light DLC,
Mm,
who would you want it for?
I would want it for, I mean, if I'm honest, I would want it for the Hikaru, or for Hikaru, the Tanakh chief.
Yeah, the Tanakh Chief. Okay,
Yeah, I would love to see
interesting.
him, like, he has a group of marshals, and I would love to see him, like, taking the marshals and going somewhere, or, like, doing something, like, having a little adventure with him. That would be just, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, because they talk about how much of like a combat savant he is, but you never actually see it because he's like the one in power, so like he
Yeah,
can't die, like we can't let him die, so
right.
he's like not fighting. But they reference it and how much of like a soldier he was and how he was out there in the battles
It's how he
in
became
the
chief. He
yeah,
challenged the last
exactly.
chief and beat them. And it's
Yeah,
like,
so but like they always hint towards it, but they never actually say it, like they never actually show it.
yeah,
And like I would love to see that, so that'd be pretty cool. No, that wouldn't be bad.
yeah. What about you?
I mean, I would like Alva just because I think it's so cool how like they're not from the United States. Obviously, no one here is from the United States, but because the United States isn't really a thing. But like the Quen, they came over on a ship, and it appears that they came over from like really Eastern culture. So like think like Asia. Like
Yeah,
I would love to see like a side game where you're over in Asia and you could explore the Quen tribe and your Alva. I think that'd be really cool just because you'd see a different landscape. You see how things are over there. And their culture was so interesting how they have the forbidden knowledge, how they don't allow people to know certain things. They block knowledge out. And like even like when you're on the main quest and Co discovers that Ted Faro is still here and still alive, and he wasn't like this big savior like they thought. He's like, "Oh, you gotta burn it. We gotta hide it. Burn the evidence."
yeah. That
It
would,
goes to show, yeah, it just goes to show the corruption of like who's up at the top. And I would love to see like Alva return with the other diviners and like kind of teach like the Quen like, no, this is what really is like, this is what it's really like, kind of like almost like take down the people in charge of the Quen right now.
yeah. That's actually the part that I was talking about in the non-spoiler section of this.
Yeah,
Is like,
I picked up on that. Yeah.
yeah, if you, like, listen to the audio logs of, like, I think it's his daughter.
Yeah, it's Ted and it's Ted's daughter, and then she like it's like a bunch of other people there. He's bringing a woman there. He's like basically trying to make them immortal. He's using them as experiments to test out how to become immortal.
Yes, and
And
it leaves him so alone, and it feels very, it's human experimentation in his bunker, and you can just tell he is the insane powerful one. And it, like, if you don't listen to that stuff, you totally miss out on that. And I'm telling, if you continue through, you kind of get the idea, as it's like so empty. There's a giant statue of him. It's like, you can infer what happened, and then obviously there's the cutscene where he's still alive. But if you listen to those audio logs, everything is so dire and scary,
yeah,
and it's
like that
so cool.
the last one where it's his daughter finally talking to him about it, and she's like, I didn't ask for any of this.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
Yeah,
It's very heavy and very sad.
I loved when they go in and see Ted Fire. Like, they don't show you what he looks like, but I just imagine rotting old corpse. That's all I imagine.
Really? I imagined so much worse. I imagined have you ever played Inside?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I imagined that. That's what I imagined. I imagined like this huge nasty creature and like that he is so big because he said that his cells were escalating at like a, a unbelievable pace. And so I just imagine he was growing. And so
Okay, yeah.
he's like I imagine he's just down there and like pushed against the walls and he's just like this giant blob. And like that's whenever the guy like he sees it and he like bends over and he's like, oh, I wish I did not see that. And then they burn it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I bet it was huge. I bet it was huge and
I
horrible."
Now that you say that, it does make sense, but I also pictured, have you played New Fallout New Vegas?
Yes. Wait, no, not New
Mr. House
Vegas.
when Oh, well, for those who played New Vegas, you'll understand what I'm saying. When you actually figure out who Mr. House is, and you find Mr. House, that's what I thought of.
Okay, can I look it up? Was that spoilery?
It's not the first thing that will come up. That's what you
Robert
think he looks
House.
like. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you click his on the Fallout wiki, if you go
Yeah.
all the way down, go all the way down to gallery. Yeah,
Okay. Oh yeah.
yeah, that's what I pictured.
Just lost.
Yes.
That's I mean, they leave it up for interpretation.
Yeah, I kind of wish we saw him, but I'm at the same time like I'm kind of glad we didn't. And then that whole like part of just escaping that with the boulders collapsing, catching on fire. Some of the even though CO is like crazy and everyone knows he's crazy, his like soldiers remain loyal to him, which is
Yeah.
yeah. That whole part was pretty awesome. I died a few times trying to get out of there, just like running into fire, um, getting shot with arrows, trying to get out as fast as I could. It was really cool.
Very, very cool. And like you said, it seemed like once he was gone, the soldiers were like, "All right, finally." But they didn't turn on him. It was very, very interesting. But
Yeah, because even the guy who was supposed to be like his like right hand guy was like, "You expect me to believe that that egotistical person would give his life to try to save everyone else?
exactly.
Please." Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he kind of yeah. No, I thought it was really cool.
It was really cool. You could just feel the tension like throughout all of that quest, and then when he was finally gone, it was like, wow, the tension has just dispersed, and it feels like they have someone with a level head in charge now, and it kind of it was exciting. And I think that you're right to see an expansion there would be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and like I think one, the story would be very interesting, and two, just seeing like a different part of the world, like going over to the Asian continent would be
Yes.
really different. Because I want to see how it's like over there. Like, what are the machines like over there? Are they the same type of machines? Are they different? Like the landscapes over there. I mean, we've seen so much of the U.S. now.
Yeah. Maybe that's where the next game takes place. It's like there's something extremely exciting, and they have to fly. I don't know how they would do it. Maybe they take a whole bunch of sun wings and they fly over the ocean. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like they talked about how like the trip by boat took. They mentioned how long it took. They said it took a long time. Didn't they say it took a few months to get over here?
yeah, yeah, that's usually how it goes by ship, and
Yeah.
so it's very interesting.
You reminded me of the Mayflower.
Mayflower, that's right, they came
Yeah.
over. But do you have anything
What
else
would
you want
you?
to add?
Yeah, I want to say, like, what do you think? Where do you think they're gonna take this forward? Like, I know obviously we're gonna have to fight Nemesis, and you had mentioned like like a side game or like a linear story, but like for Horizon 3, whatever they call it, do you think it's gonna take place on Earth? Do you think that it's gonna like start on Earth and then maybe go to another planet? Because like Nemesis will come down and destroy the planet, but just before it's destroyed, maybe like our cast of heroes gets out alive and they end up going to another planet. Like,
That's
I'm curious what you think.
that's my biggest question is like is Aloy going to stay on Earth and like buckle down and prepare for this fight, or is there going to be like a situation where Aloy has to recreate the last because that rocket on Earth is like the last one. At least that's kind of what I inferred. And it's like, are they going to start building more of these using the giant, shelter or space area over there that we went to on the very last mission? It's like, are they going to start building more and then send people to space? Like, start doing more ships like the Zeniths had? And I have so many questions because it would be really cool if we got to the next game, and maybe it time skips a little, and they're they're like, okay, we're leaving Earth, but it's like I really don't know. That's what I was telling you about how hard it will be. I hope the writers already had a vision and they know what they're doing, because I don't know what they're gonna do with this next game. It's such a hard place to write out of, and you either have to leave Earth, which Aloy will not do that to the people. Like, that was a very big part of the final mission, because
Yeah.
there's just so many people left on Earth, and it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna leave them. And Silence was like, yeah, I am gonna leave them. I'm gonna go survive.
Dude,
And
shout out to Silence, by the way. Shout out to Silence. I like him a lot.
I do too. He's one of the best characters, but he was absent so much of this game.
Yeah, you know what? I wonder if he was absent for so much of it due to COVID.
Oh, interesting. Could have
Like,
been.
because obviously he's motion captured, and I wonder if they lost a lot of, like, he couldn't be present for a lot of the motion capture. Like, they have small tidbits of him, like when he's like holocasted, but I wonder if he wasn't present a lot of it due to COVID. Like that's a huge, like, that's a real. I mean, a lot of this game's development took place during COVID.
I could imagine it did heavily. It's 2022 and it finally came out, but I think
But
you're
yeah, I
yeah.
like Silence a lot. I actually really, I thought he was going. Did you think he was gonna leave? I really did.
I really did think he was going to leave. I thought that's where the story would end, and basically that gave me the idea that, like, maybe he's doing something else while Aloy is on Earth, and he comes back and helps. He learns something, and he's like, I know that you wanted to stay, and things like that. But again, with everybody staying on Earth, I really don't know where the game goes, besides either overseas or, like, because she has to have all of planet Earth help her defeat Nemesis. Like, she has to have all of planet Earth. She can't do it. She can't do it with just some of these people holding spears and bow and arrows.
I
I
I
just
tend to think that the next game will take place on Earth, and part of me thinks that, we had Horizon 1 on PS4,
Yeah.
Horizon 2 on PS5. The way that games are taking to develop now, and we see it just takes longer and longer, would not shock me if Horizon 3 was on the PS6, or I know Horizon 2 was also on PS4, but if this game was a PS6 game and it was a massive game where you had like different continents to explore between. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it'd be like one giant open world, but maybe each individual world would be like an open world. So think of like the map we have in Forbidden West, but like you have that map and then you have like three more of them, like different continents. I could totally see that. And the whole point of the game is Aloy trying to build this army. Maybe they figure out exactly how to defeat Nemesis, but they need all these different people and different types of technology for that. It can be found from around the world. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, and they, like, one thing that I remember heavily is, like, that part at the end, which, by the way, this is one of the hypest fucking moments for me, is like at the end whenever they get to that island, and they start
Hmm.
spawning, like, out of nowhere. They start spawning all of these
Oh
machines.
yeah, yeah.
And I was
The
like,
Fest,
"Whoa."
yeah,
I was like,
Hephaestus, yeah.
yeah, and it starts creating so many machines, and they're fighting against each other, and it's just such a spectacle to watch. And I was like, maybe she's gonna create a bunch of machines, but it's like, if this is a sentient AI, like, what's to say that it won't take over these machines? Like, what are
And
they
like we
gonna?
don't even know what Nemesis is. Like we know is like what we saw was like that red blob. Like we don't even know like exactly like what does it look like? What is it actually?
I don't know what it is. They said it's like a they were trying to put all of their consciousnesses on there, because they were trying to ditch their physical form.
Yeah.
Like, they had already become immortal, but then they wanted more than immortality, and so they were trying to create all, like, this one consciousness, and, like, that's what that is. But we don't know what that really is. Like, we don't really know what that is. So it's
Yeah,
it's
it's interesting, and I find the name Nemesis to be really interesting too because I don't know, being an English major, it comes from Greek mythology, Nemesis, and what it refers to is like enacting vengeance on the arrogant people. So like it's interesting to note that it was going after the Zeniths because maybe because you know, Nemesis realized that even though they were basically clones of the Zenith. Like these people are very arrogant. So we're coming after here, but they don't know what happened on Earth. Like Nemesis does not have any idea what happened.
right. So it's just angry. It's just angry and chasing them and destroying. and and so we don't know what it is, and that's again another part of the game that it makes it so hard to see where the future goes, but it's exciting to see where it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And let's talk about Regala. We haven't talked about Regala at all.
Yeah, Regala was interesting. Did you have her fight at the end with you? Or
Yeah, I
did
did. I didn't kill her. I didn't
Yeah,
kill
I
her.
did too. I wanted to see what would happen, and she goes down in a blaze of glory. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But her
I found
character
that
was
whole like because you're really interested in the Tanakh, so like I figured that you'd be pretty interested in that.
oh yes, and how she would like it was so hard not to kill her for me because
She's so evil.
she's so evil and that they spared her before. They gave her the chance before. And it's like if I just let her do it, it's she's just gonna do it again. It's like I believe in second chances, not third. And this was the third, you know? And so it was
Yeah.
really, really hard for me to like show mercy, but I'm like, "Ah, I just got to do it just to see what happens. And you know, it worked out, but it was a really tough decision. But I really liked I she was so evil. And I like how Aloy just shows up on the Sunwing and is just like, I am here. You are not fighting or killing because she almost kills Hikaru. Like
Yeah.
she has Hikaru
She has
back
him
to
on the
the edge.
ropes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
And Katalo's right there too.
I'm telling you, if she would have killed him, I would have killed her immediately. I would have because I he was one of my favorite characters. Like when I first met him, I was just so enthralled by his character. His character's huge. His character's got this amazing voice. It's just he just commands so much attention, and I was really really into that character. And anytime something came up, I was like, I want to help. I want to do whatever I can. And so that that her whole thing was like she's the enemy of them, and the enemy not the enemy of my enemy, but my friend's enemy is even worse to me. It's like
Yeah.
I wanted her out. Yeah, real quick.
What do you think of all the artwork with in Tilda's place when she saves Aloy? First of all, when you're going through it, I examined every piece of art and was looking at it and like, I was looking up, are these like real pieces of art? And they are.
That that part got me. It got me frustrated because I'm like, why did they have to put this in such an intense moment? Like so much had just happened, and then they just want me to stop and look at art. And I get it because I actually do love to like do the completionist thing and hear everything, but I'm like, I've got to see what's going on. And then by the way, pushing forward, that scene on the balcony at the table with all of the dialogue was so beautiful, so awesome. I was like so enthralled with that because it was just like it was such a spectacle, you know? It's like a Zenith is talking to Aloy, and it's like there's a level ground, and I was just so into that. And like it was in her old house, it's like destroyed, but it was just such an awesome scene. And so I didn't get to interact with that art very much at all.
Yeah, I listened to all her explanations about the art. It was really interesting to see her like go in deep, and you really get that this was like the one thing that she other than Elizabeth that she really cared about on planet Earth. That was awesome. Yeah, that's funny too that they mentioned that her and Elizabeth are basically lovers.
Yeah. I was surprised by that. It caught me off guard. I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah, I
wait."
didn't see it coming. I did not see that coming. At first, I'm thinking, okay, like, does she mean love as in like, oh, like loved her like a sister? And then the more I thought about it, the more you think about all the actions. If you go through all the documents and reading, it's like, no, they were in love with each other,
Yeah.
which was really cool, which is awesome, which makes Elizabeth's sacrifice even more great. That she would not leave. That she cared so much about the Earth and the planet.
Right. It yeah, Elizabeth is another great character that's not even like there, but she is and she isn't. You know, her clones are there, but she is not, and her lasting effects have been pushed through her DNA. And I freaking love that Elizabeth was such a wholehearted character and cared about the earth so much. It's so sad to see how everything turned out and the end of the first extinction or whatever, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Cuz she pretty much was going to sacrifice herself to save the world, and then, you know, Ted opened up the freaking doors, and the vacuum killed all the people instantly in like the council cuz
Yeah.
they were going to do the reset. And then that's when he hunkered down in the bunker, and it's so sad that all of that happened, but such a good game, good lore too, such good lore.
Yeah, that's why I said, like I had said earlier in the spoiler-free section, like, if you don't read the documents, listen to the audio logs, you're doing yourself a disservice.
You really are. You really are. That's all I have on this document. Do you have anything left or anything else?
I mean, I could go on for this game for a while, but I mean, we've hit all the major points, and for most, I would say almost all the major points. The one thing I'm wondering is, how did Silence come up with that weapon that would disable the shields? Like, they never really get into that. They kind of just gloss over it. Like, I wonder how we figured that out.
I have no idea, but I liked there was a side quest where they there was he's some of the army was testing his equipment, and then it like
Yeah,
exploded and killed them.
yeah, I
And
remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then Aloy's like, I gotta look at this, and she's like, it seems like it's a prototype, and it's like, whoa, you can tell that Silence is working, but you don't ever see him working.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, though, I would assume that the Zeniths made that technology off of Earth, so I would assume there wouldn't be any documents like back on Earth
Yeah,
referencing these shields. So that's why I'm like a little bit confused on how he figured out a way to disable it, unless they were working on it on Earth and they didn't perfect it till they left, which is interesting.
I'm really not sure how he would have done it because even they don't believe that there is a weakness to their shields. Like they're really they're like, you think that your spears and stuff are going to stop us? It's like they don't even have any idea that their shields can be taken down.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden his like EMP or whatever it is, he throws that disc and it just annihilates all their shields. They're like, "Uh-oh." And then, bloodshed starts to go mayhem. Which by the way, they fly, which that's never explained, but I'm imagining it's some kind of technology. Same thing with the Spectre. That
You know
thing
what they
kind of
remind me of? The Zeniths,
what
Kryptonians.
Kryptonians? Is that from
From
what?
Superman, Kryptonians
Oh, okay.
from
Yeah.
planet Krypton. Like, have you seen Man of Steel?
I have not seen Man of Steel,
Oh,
which I
like
need to.
there's a scene with like General Zod, and like that's what it reminds me of
Oh,
so
okay.
much.
It makes sense, but like, yeah, they're from a different planet almost, and then they come back and they. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, see, I totally get it. I see that.
yeah, like
Like,
they float and like they're almost like indestructible on Earth. It's just ridiculous. That's what I got so much. I got those vibes from it. But yeah, overall, like I said, this game is fantastic,
it
amazing.
really is fantastic. It feels so good to have like all of these good games coming out, and I feel like I haven't had a dull moment with video games in a while. Like there was like a rough period where I didn't play games for a bit, and then Horizon just brought me back. It brought me back, and it feels so good. Um,
Yeah. Like you, I did not fast travel. I have not fast traveled once.
Yeah, you just gotta. It's such a beautiful map, and it's such a beautiful world, and it's just like going back and forth. The environments blow my mind. I had a friend tell me he was like, "I think this game's more beautiful than Ghost of Tsushima." I'm like, I can see it. I could see that. It's very, very pretty, and like some of the forest areas are just dense, and oh, it's so good. It's so good.
The diversity in location is ridiculous. You have like the snowy area to a desert area to a tropical area. Like it's insane the different types of diversity.
I agree. Do you have a trophy or achievement of the week?
Yeah, it's not from Horizon because that is one thing we did not mention. The trophies for Horizon Forbidden West are atrocious.
They are. They are bad. They are 2007, 2008 bad.
Yeah,
Like
the
just
names. One, the names are terrible, and two, I found the trophy list a little too easy.
it is very easy. And that's what we were talking about in the spoiler free section is like you can get the platinum without completing the game. Very like 70%, you know.
So my trophy comes from a game that I am currently playing, and it is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and
Oh,
this
nice.
is yes. So all of the trophies are named after famous lines from the Star Wars movies, and this one, many people will recognize this. You're a little short for a stormtrooper. Is what it's called, and it is creating 25 disguises as a hero character. It is a bronze trophy. It's not a difficult trophy, but I like the name of it. That reminds me of A New Hope, and A New Hope was what my first Star Wars movie I ever saw, and what got me into Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so.
A New Hope
Yeah.
is my favorite, which is controversial. Everyone's like Empire.
Well,
But
Empire's my favorite, but
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But for
But
me, it stands alone, and it's so good. Like if I'm gonna sit down and watch a Star Wars movie, it's gonna be that one. And
all right, so hang on, real quick. I know we're talking about Horizon, but ready? Star Wars movie rankings. Here we go. Ready? Five, six, four, three, one, two, six, 7, 9. The Rock Outside My Window, 8.
The Rock Outside My Window, eight. Eight's the worst.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
It was really bad. I've never left a movie theater and been like, did that really just happen? Did that really just happen? And like I try not to go see bad movies. That's like where I stand, and I
Yeah, and I
can't.
saw it opening night, so that was a little
Yeah,
tough. Yeah.
it's rough, very rough. But quick firing them, I'm gonna have to say 4, 5, 3, 6,
Oh, 3 then 6. Okay.
then 2, 1, and then I don't know about the new ones. I'd say 7, 9, 7, 9, 8. I guess.
Yo, where's the Rock Outside My Window?
What's the rock outside your window?
Yeah, just the Rock Outside My Window. Would you put that ahead of 8?
Oh, you know what I didn't even throw in there, which it actually comes after. It comes before 3, which is a Rogue One.
Oh,
That
okay,
is,
Rogue One. See, I didn't include Rogue One, but if I included Rogue One, it would come right after 4 for me.
yeah,
So mine would go
it's one of the best.
5, 6, 4, Rogue One. Yeah, it's
A New Hope is my
it's
favorite, and it's like that one ties to A New Hope, and it was absolutely one of my favorite movie theater experiences. Like that movie was awesome. That movie was so
yeah,
good.
yeah, it is. All right, sorry to diverge the conversation towards Star Wars,
It's
but yeah,
okay.
that's
I
my
mean,
that's my trophy of the week.
when you're playing the Star Wars Lego Saga, I mean, why not? Mine is also a game that I'm playing, which is Cyberpunk, and the achievement is True Warrior, which is kill or incapacitate 100 enemies using melee weapons. And I really love this about the game because it feels like there's so much to play with. Like there's legendary weapons, and then there's like these weapons that are called iconic weapons, and like they all have very unique functions to them. And it makes me want to switch out my weapons a lot. And I found some iconic weapons that are blades. I found some that are like just bats and knives, all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm using a katana right now, and it's really really fun to just like slice people up with a katana in a first person game. But um that's what I've been actually hunting, so I hope that I get to pop that one soon. But yeah,
Yeah, like I said, like I'm hunting Lego Star Wars, but Cyberpunk is on my backlog. I planned to play it when it came out, but then a lot of people had problems, so I didn't play it, and it just fell down the list.
just let it keep maybe falling down the list, because I'm sure DLC will drop. I mean, they did just announce like DLC is coming in like 2023, and then the game is not perfect. It still has some bugs, but not enough to where the game experience is bad for me. I've just seen some funny stuff, and like there's one weird glitch that gets on my nerves, and I told my best friend about it, and it's like the characters glow sometimes. Like it looks like unnatural.
Interesting.
They just have like unnatural lighting on them, which the game has really really good lighting. So whenever unnatural lighting happens, it's very noticeable. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like if this was like a game where the lighting wasn't as good as it is, I wouldn't have noticed the glow on the characters. But like they'll be driving and I can just see an outline. Kind of like if you think about Borderlands, right?
Okay,
And
yeah, but
how it has
that's the
the
art style. But that's the art style of the game.
yeah, that is the art style. It has that black border around the
Yep.
characters, but this is different. It's like a white border around the characters where it's like it looks like they're
Interesting.
glowing, and I'm like, "Oh, no." But that doesn't happen all the time. It's like you could load your save and bam, it's gone. It's like it's just small stuff that like that, I the cars don't pop in, and they don't. It's not what it used to be. That wreck that it was. It's playable. It's very very good. I'm having a very good time with it. But yeah, I can't. I actually when you asked me to do the spoiler, I was like, oh, I have to stop playing Cyberpunk. I have to stop playing Cyberpunk. But I'm like, oh, but then I get to talk about Horizon, so I was really excited. But I really can't wait to get back. I'm gonna edit this episode and I'm gonna play the hell out of that game, dude. I'm so excited.
There you go. That's all that matters.
It is. It's so good. It's so good. It just it. reaffirmed that like CD Projekt makes some of my favorite games. So like I believe in them from in the future. I just think that the marketing they messed up on this game, and the game was undercooked. It was not ready. And now that it's been in the oven longer, it's good. It's really good. Like there was a foundation of this game that was there, and it just needed more time. And it's very, very good, in my opinion. But I'm eager to hear your thoughts when you play it someday. Everyone's thoughts.
Eventually. Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. No time. It doesn't have to be soon. But do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, that's it. I think we've done a pretty thorough job.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Happy hunting. Peace out. Thank you so much for listening to Complete Edition. If you like the content, consider supporting us on patreon.com/completion club. If you have any questions or would like to reach us, email completionclub@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to Complete Edition.